I want to bring in Ivanna Klympush-Tsynsadze now. She is a member of the Ukrainian Parliament, the chair of the Committee on Ukraine's Integration into the European Union, and a former deputy prime minister. First of all, thanks for taking time to speak with me today. We've reached you in Kyiv today. We've seen the latest response from NATO today to your president's appeals for more help. They've talked about more sanctions, more equipment, more humanitarian aid, but no promise of tanks or jet fighters. What is your reaction to what you've heard from NATO leaders today?
Well, first and foremost, I want to express our gratitude to all the free nations that are helping Ukraine today and are pressing on Russian Federation. I think it's extremely important, and it's extremely important that we see tectonic changes in the policies of different countries towards both Russia and towards the need and urgency to help Ukraine in different areas, starting from humanitarian aid, but ending also with a military capacity being reinforced for us to be able to fight back on this barbaric attack. But obviously, we are saddened by the fact that since no-fly zone, as we are being told very openly that it is a no-go from the alliance at this particular moment, that we are not provided with those capabilities that would allow us Ukrainians, our armed forces, to create this no-fly zone by ourselves, thus having access to real long-range air defense, to fighter jets, and also having additional capabilities on the ground to push back on Russian military that is exceeding us in numbers. And they are not they do not care about every human life, and so they are throwing a lot of people and a lot of military ammunition here, just taking it by numbers. That's something that is very it's something that Russia has been using in its military tactics for a while.
You touched on it. NATO continues to reject a no-fly zone. They expressed concerns today again about being able to deliver, as President Zelensky appealed for, 1% of tanks, 1% of fighter jets. Clearly, the NATO position here is they don't want to escalate the war to include NATO countries. What is your response to that position?
The thing is that we have to be looking at what Putin is doing and what Putinist Russia as a terrorist state is doing with clear mind and total sobriety. And I think it's underestimated at this particular moment that Putin will escalate with no additional invitation, with no additional provocation. As you know, this war has started with no provocation from Ukraine, so he doesn't need anything to be done additionally by any nation to escalate further. He has been threatening us more increasingly with using of nuclear and chemical weapons, making up casus bellis that he might want to use as a pretext to further escalate. But that does not mean that he needs real actions to be taken place.
What about sanctions? Look, that's a favored tool being used by Western countries, including Canada, which today added 160 more Russian politicians to the list and expanded sanctions against Russian exports. How useful do you believe those have been and are being?
Obviously, we understand that these sanctions that have been unrolled with regard to Russia, they are unprecedented, but they are still not enough to contain Russia and contain this regime from their barbaric actions on the territory of a free and independent nation. And stop erasing us from the map of the world. So unfortunately, when even such decisions are being taken in terms of sanctioning specific politicians, it's good, but it's important also to sanction their families. It's important to sanction their assets and their businesses, and that with regard to everybody who has been sanctioned on those lists, if we're talking about personal lists. Obviously, for us, embargo on oil and gas would be, a ago, but we understand that the EU has to be on board for that decision. SWIFT being only part of the Russian banks being cut off SWIFT, that creates additional loophole for Russian Federation to use it further for their benefit. So a lot should and can be done more.
We're watching NATO's response. You're watching it. I'm watching it. The world's watching it. I'm assuming Vladimir Putin's watching it as well. And I'm wondering how you think NATO's response and its reluctance to go further than it's going. How do you think that's being viewed by Vladimir Putin? And how do you think it might affect his next move?
You see, Putin understands only the language of strength, of power, of unity, and as you see also with regard to Ukraine, he understands only when he is pushed back. So he will try to move further, as he was allowed to move further after his attack on Georgia, then in 2008, then on his first attack in 2014 against Ukraine, and now. So Putin can read this still as a weakness, and we definitely do not want for him to have such an argument and to go totally mad and continue on to other regions beyond Ukraine.
All right. Ivanna Klympush-Tsynsadze, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be well and take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.